You can't fix somebody who doesn't want to change. Darn it.
Oh, man.
Sure would be nice though, right?
Here's what to do instead.
Mended light. In family therapy, there's something called the identified patient, which is therapy speak for the scapegoat.
The problem.
The problem.
The black sheep.
Families come to therapy, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen this in my office. People come to therapy, and they're like, we would get along fine, and everything would be great if it wasn't for Junior over here, or our daughter, or if it wasn't for Mom. And they single out the one person who is the problem. They always say the same thing to the therapist. If you could just fix them, we would be okay. The issue is that people who get blamed for most everything tend to push back and call BS because they know it's not all them. They know that all human relationships go in different directions and are part of a system. It's really simple to just lay the blame at somebody else's feet and say, you fix yourself, you're the problem. The issue with that is that none of us have any sort of control over what another person does.
Agency's a thing.
Agency's a thing. So what do we do instead, and where do we put our focus?
Agency's a thing. I have control over what I say, think, do, feel.
Ooh, the song Wait For It in Hamilton, when Aaron Burr says, I am the one thing in life I can control.
Wait for it, I am the one thing in life I can control.
Yeah.
I love that line. I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like when things are going sideways in my life, I always come back to, I am the one thing in life I can control. I am an original. I am an inimitable. I don't know how he says that word every time. But anyways, the point is, you're the only thing in life that you can control. Inimitable. You can't be imitated. Anyways, it's amazing every time he sings it. But here's the point. Radical acceptance dictates that whatever's going on in your life, people are going to people. They're going to make their choices. There are circumstances that are outside of your control. As much as you would like to determine everything that happens in your life, you literally can't. But you absolutely can control your response, your state of mind, and who you choose to be. So with that in mind, you've got someone in your life, you wish they would fix themselves, you see them as the problem, it's not happening, what do you do?
And to continue on that vein of thought and to kind of flesh it out a little bit more, you are not responsible for what someone else says, thinks, or does, right?
Yeah.
You can influence them. We all have our sphere of influence, but you cannot change them. As we continue down that road, applying those principles or those thought processes, I want you to keep something in mind. You are not broken, and neither is anyone else. We all have the things we value. We even might tend to tie our worth to the things we value and then project it onto other people. There is all sorts of things that we do to try and earn acceptance, to try and earn belonging, to try and create safety. And that quite often is the challenge, is people tying their worth to what they value and then projecting it onto other people and then rejecting them because they don't meet their values. And I'm not talking about moral values here, right? I'm talking about, hey, if I'm a healer personality type and I have an interaction with you, the most important thing to me is how you feel and how I feel. But if I'm a closer personality type and I'm interacting with you, usually the most important thing to me is, are we accomplishing the goal? Are we accomplishing the task? And if I interact with you that way as a closer, but you as a healer are like, wait, don't you even care about my feelings? And that happens over and over and over again. We're going to have rupture and rupture and rupture. And we're not even going to realize how we're not speaking the same language, how we're not meeting each other's needs. And it's so much easier to just point at the other person and say, it's your fault.
You're the problem.
You're the problem. If you would just be more like me, if you would just value the same things I value.
Well, and this is something I talk about a lot, is that all of us are exceptionally arrogant until we learn this one thing, which is that our way is not the right way.
Yeah.
That what is right to a person, as you're saying, depends on what they value. Most of us, when we give advice, we say, well, you know what you should do, and then we tell them exactly what we would do. Well, you know what you should think, or you know what you should say.
Right.
And it all comes back to what we think. I like to use the example of driving. Right? If someone's going faster than me, they're a maniac. If someone's going slower than me, they're a menace. Why can't everybody just drive the way I'm driving and we all get like this?
Why can't everybody just have the same values and needs in the exact same moment that I have?
And then when someone's not acting in accordance with what I value or acting in accordance with what my views are, I see them as the problem to be fixed, instead of looking at myself and saying, do I need to expand my understanding? On our website, we've got a personalities course that talks about 4 basic personality types. And you can actually take that course, that video course, for free right now. There's a link in the description that you can click on and just go take that. But you, as a thinker personality type, you value what is logical, what is rational, and what is fact-based.
Right.
And so for a lot of thinkers, there is one right way to do things. It's the logical, rational way.
As long as the goal is logical and rational, which to thinkers it is the goal.
But I love this about you because you kept bumping into people who were doing things in ways that didn't make sense to you.
Right.
Because it's not the right way. And then
It's not the rational way.
Right.
Because I was making the unconscious conclusion, everybody values efficiency and effectiveness.
Right.
And it wasn't until over a decade ago that I was like, wait, that's the goal for me. That's not the goal for everyone.
But if a person values connection or relaxation or fun, they're going to make different choices because that's what they want. That's what they value. I know this helped you, but it's similarly with me. You stop seeing people as a problem to be solved when you recognize that their behavior makes sense to them based on what they want and what they value. And now you have an opportunity to build bridges, and now you have an opportunity to connect and find solutions.
Right, and meet needs,
Yeah.
right? Because the difference is just a cry for connection. But quite often we don't interpret it as that. And so the goal is not to give up what you value, but it's to disconnect your worth as a person from what you value. And once you know your innate worth, and our personalities course is the only one that I know of where we talk about personality types and then we talk about worth ties. And we talk about how our personality types show up in our worth ties and what we tie our worth to. Because if our worth is tied to things outside of ourselves, life is going to come along and it's going to pull on those worth ties. And you're going to be a marionette puppet. And you're going to feel like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you, right? And you're going to have those moments where you're like, I'm worthless. I can't do anything. I had that experience when I was pregnant with my 4th child, our 2nd daughter, and I was literally like incapable of doing anything. And because I'm a thinker closer, and the closers are the real good doers, and they value accomplishment, right? And so I'm literally laying on the couch and can't do anything. And I'm a very high-functioning, over-functioning, high achiever, right? And I'm like, I'm worthless. Like, literally, someone should shoot me. I'm not even kidding you, right? And it sounds comical to laugh about now, but life provides us a beautiful opportunity of showing us what our worth is tied to and shining a light on it. It is quite often very uncomfortable, but it is your growth opportunity.
Now, there is a universal law of agency that applies to ourselves and to others, which is this: you have the right to make choices for yourself, and so does everybody else. While we have the right of choice, we don't get to choose the consequences of our choices, which, as we discussed before, means that you are responsible for what you think, say, and do, but you're not responsible for what others think, say, and do. You can choose. You always have a choice. Now, I have a clip from the most choice-centric movie there is, Minority Report.
Choice-centric, huh?
It's choice-centric. The whole premise is that psychics can predetermine when crimes are going to be committed by whom, and so the police can stop crimes before they happen.
I have seen Minority Report.
Yeah, but the moral quandary is, can you prosecute somebody for something that they never did? So Tom Cruise's...
Or they haven't done yet.
Right. So Tom Cruise's character is accused of, he's going to commit murder at a certain day at a certain time, and he's got a watch that's counting down to the moment. And the whole time he's trying to solve this mystery, he's on the run of, why would I kill this person? I don't even know this person.
Yeah.
And then he arrives in this guy's apartment with minutes to spare. So far, no reason to kill the guy. Spoiler alert and minor trigger, his son is dead. And he sees pictures of this guy with his son, not inappropriate pictures, but just like pictures. And he thinks, this man kidnapped and murdered my son. And he's got one of the psychics called precogs with him.
You can choose. You can choose.
court of law. You have the right to an attorney. Now, during any further questioning, if you can't afford an attorney, we will appoint one.
Now, just before this, when he discovered the evidence that this man killed his son, he says, "Oh, I thought there was a mistake. Surely I wouldn't murder somebody, but I am going to murder this man." And then the man walks in and he beats him up, and that's when he pulls the gun on him. And I just love that she, the one who saw this event happening, so it must be predetermined, says you can choose. There was a psychologist called B.F. Skinner who promoted something called behaviorism, which is that choice is an illusion. It's all stimulus response, that we all just react to the things that happen to us. I don't hold to behaviorism. Not only am I a bigger fan of Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, but I also see it everywhere, every day, including in my office, which is this notion
that between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space is your ability to choose. And therein lies your power. And the challenge is to create the space. Because I've seen in my own life and in other people's life, we have stimulus, we have response. We have stimulus, we have reaction. And a response is more, in my opinion, more cognitive, more aware. Like, here's what I'm choosing. But if we don't give ourselves enough space, we will have stimulus and then reaction, right?
Yeah.
I will find out my son is dead. I will find out this person is responsible, and I will kill them. And so the practice of self-compassion, the practice of meditation, the practice of breath work, all of these things we talk about as practices, yoga, right? But the reality is they all support in rewiring our brain to give us space. So we can have that larger space, so we can choose a response and not just go into reaction.
Yeah. So in essence, if you see someone else as the problem and wish they would change, start with yourself. What is it about them and their motivations or what they value or what they tie their worth to that maybe you're not considering? Because everyone's behavior makes sense to them. As you listen to understand, you can build bridges of connection and look for solutions. Secondly, focus on yourself. That is the one thing you have control over. You get to decide how you will respond. You get to decide what you will do in any circumstance. I've seen you do this with various people where their actions get under your skin or hurt you, and you just come back to the center of...
Or their actions come from a place of hurt.
Yeah.
And I know that hurt. And so I know they're reacting in the moment in a hurtful way.
Yeah.
And because I know their past and I know their history and I can see how they're reacting right now is a coping mechanism, because I'm able to stay centered, I can respond with compassion, but also clear boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, I can see your hurt, I can see where you're coming from, and at the same time, we can't interact this way.
That's right.
Like, there's compassion and there's boundaries.
So again, our personalities course will help you to learn more about the things we've been talking about today, and you can try it absolutely free. It's an online video course that we've created. It's on our membership site, and the link is in the description and here for you to click on and take that course. What we want to know from you is, when you have found yourself frustrated with another's behavior or another's choices or another's words, what routes have you taken that you have found to be healthy and supportive? Because sure, we're here to share what we've learned, but we love learning from you, and we love when our community helps each other out. So let us know in the comments below. Until next time, folks, keep shining.
We need your light.